Went up to about, I think, the 4th or 5th grade, and I don't know about my mother. I don't think she had very much, she might have gone through most of the grade school.
What about Papa's parents?
I don't think they ever finished school.
Finished?
They went to work early.
Okay, when they were young.
And,
so they met how?
They met through a friend of my father's, and I don't know, somebody, they were introduced. And when they married at home in my grandmother's apartment. And
okay.
I don't know how long they went together, but I know that they were married December 24th, 1911, on Christmas Eve. And we used to celebrate their anniversary every Christmas Eve. They settled in Brooklyn. And after my dad had gone into business for himself, I don't know exactly what year, but he was in the automotive business. I might say he was a self-made man. And he established the Automotive Specialty Corporation in Brooklyn, New York, with the trademark Tasco, a step ahead. And he when my sister was born, which is almost 7 years earlier than I.
And your sister's name?
My sister's name was Janet Meredith Vogel. She was born March 15th, 1914, and she was married on June 5th, 1937. She has one daughter by the name of Susan Joan Grice, and let me see what else. And then 6 years later, 6.5, 6 3/4 years later, to be exact, I was born, and
on what day?
Also in Brooklyn, and I was born on New York Avenue in Brooklyn, and when I was about 4 or 5, we moved around the corner to President Street.
What's your birthday?
My birthday is October 21st, 1920. We stayed in a 2-family house, and we stayed there until I was about 8 years old, when we moved to Eastern Parkway and Bedford Avenue. My father rented a 6-room apartment, which in those days, and this was, I was 8, so this is 1928, before the Depression. The apartment was $150 a month for a 6-room apartment, including 3 bedrooms, and part of it was like 1 bedroom with a separate bathroom was used for the maid. So we always, at that time, had a maid sleeping in. And my father was doing rather nicely in his business. And we stayed in that apartment until I was 11 years old. And in 1932, my father decided to buy a house in the Midland Manor section of Flatbush at number 936 East 8th Street, between Avenue I and J. And I never had my own bedroom in this house. Never had my own bedroom at all. I always shared a bedroom with my sister. And we had 4 bedrooms in the house. One was my mother and father's, one was a guest room, one was my sister's room and my room, and the 4th bedroom was used for a time as a study. When we had somebody sleeping in, then we had 5 bedrooms, excuse me, originally, because we had a bedroom downstairs, right off the kitchen. But in later years, many years later, my father redid the house. That was in 1943. After I was married, he redid the house, and when my parents had a sleep-in maid, she stayed upstairs in what used to be the study. And downstairs was made, the bedroom downstairs was made into a magnificent mahogany bar my father had wanted. And that time he also finished the basement, hoping that after I was married, we would live downstairs in the basement. But of course that never came to pass because I wouldn't do it. We stayed home for a year after the war, and then we moved out to Laurelton. I met my husband at a wedding on September 7th, 1940.
Wow, you know the date.
What?
I'm impressed that you remember the date of the day you met him.
Yeah, I remember a lot of dates. This was at my girlfriend's marriage to my husband's first cousin. We met, and we chatted, and we danced, and that was just about all, because I came with a date, and I really didn't pay too much attention to him. And then we went, then he started to call me, and I saw him a couple times. I was impressed and I wasn't impressed. My parents weren't too happy that I was seeing him, and they wanted me to find somebody that was, I might say, more to my type, more to my upbringing, and my in-laws were foreign-born, and of course, as I grew older and as I matured and I was married, had my own family, I could understand my father's reasoning. But I really and truly, at that time when you're 21, you can't understand, when you're 20, I was 20 when I met him, you really can't, visualize any problems or anything. There weren't any problems. The only problem was that, of course, my parents didn't have anybody, as they call it, machatunim or machatanista, to socialize, so to speak, with. However, love won out, and in 1942, I think it was, we became engaged, and in 1943 of February 20th, we were married. And then my husband, at that time I was working in New York at a textile firm, and my husband was supposed to go into the Army that month or the next month, but he didn't go because he got an attack of appendicitis and was operated on. In those days, you had to recoup for 6 weeks. But finally, he was called in August of 1943, and he went away, and I followed him in October of that year, 2 months later. I might say my father gradually respected my husband and liked him, but as I said at the beginning, I don't think he did. And those 2.5 years of our courtship was not very easy, and it didn't make it something to be very happy for us. In fact, my father didn't even want me to get married. He wanted me to wait until my husband, or my boyfriend, went out to Army camp, and I should get married down there. And I had distinctly